AV in your ears. That's Ambush Vid giving you this audio visual down the most interesting street in the world. With my boy Steve, Fascination Street. You already know. Let's get it when you whip in the Fascination Street. What do you...
Stephen, my good man.
What's up, beautiful? How you doing?
I do look good today, don't I?
You're great. They don't call you Pretty Tony Winters for nothing, right?
That's right. That's right. I've earned the title.
How you doing, dude?
Man, I can't complain. I'm healthy and well, and that's what it's all about. How you feeling, sir?
I cannot complain. Well, yeah, I can. I turned 50 last week, and I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about that, bro.
Hey, if you're on this side of the grass, man,
Don't act like you're older than 50. I'm looking at you right now, bro. Come on.
Oh, we don't discuss my age. We only
Yeah,
discuss yours.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Especially if we're being recorded.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
Dude, this is gonna sound crazy. It's been 2.5 years since we talked. Can you believe that?
Wow. Yeah, that's been about right. I mean, we've stayed in touch, through social media, but yeah, that's about right, man.
That's crazy. It came out like your first episode came out November 15th, 2021, and that was before Yellow Jackets even aired.
Yeah. Which became this big phenom, man.
Sure did.
Who knew?
You.
Well,
You
I thought
said
they'd have me back, but
yeah, so
that
did
didn't
I.
seem to happen. Yeah.
You
But
know what?
Go ahead.
Too pretty.
No,
Since it was all about girls, and they were like, "Well, this dude is way too good looking, so he's taking away from the shine on these ladies." That's what.
Oh, you need to stop. You need to. No, it was when I thought the way the show was structured that they would flash back to their days in high school, and they didn't. It wasn't structured that way, so I didn't take it personally.
I did. I'm still mad. Are you ready?
I am.
Welcome back to Fascination Street Podcast, Pretty Toady Winners. How you doing today, man?
I am doing well, man. I am doing well. I am good health, good spirits, and I have a roof over my head and food in my refrigerator. And so, I'm always thankful for the little things, Steve. I really am. I've never needed a lot to be happy.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Life is good. So, ladies and gentlemen, this, as I said, is Tony's second appearance on the show. His first appearance was November 15th, 2021, and that's where we did the whole from where you were to where you are thing. So go back and check that out if you missed it. We're not going to do a whole lot of that this time. But in that first episode, we did talk about one of my favorite shows growing up that Tony was on. It was Hunter, starred with Burt Dwyer and of course Tony Winters. It was amazing. I loved it.
Well,
it was a great casting story or audition story as well. We did talk a lot about Yellow Jackets, the series, and National Champions, the movie. Both of those, it was right before those two things came out. So go back and check those out. And don't forget to pay attention to hear Tony talk about that one time he almost froze his fingers off. That was fun too. But this time we're going to talk about some things that have happened since then. Tony.
Whoa. Lost one of my earbuds. Yes, sir.
How did the rest of COVID treat you?
Wow, man, the world has changed so very much. I guess the biggest change in my life was that right here in my office, this is where I audition now.
Always, even still today?
Even occasionally there is the in-person commercial audition, but 99% of the time I'm right here in my office. I got my little setup behind the camera here and I audition at home. So a lot of what I do starts here. Occasionally they want to see you live, so you'll do a Zoom. But for the most part, I'm in here auditioning and sending tapes out into the internet, and that's how it's done now.
So how do you feel about that? I know that a lot of times actors get to make an impression when they're in the room. Like you get to, I mean, you even told a story where you cracked somebody up because I don't know. I think Yeah, you
I held
used
up my
the wrong
left hand. Yeah, I was holding my script in my right hand, and I was swearing someone in. And yeah, that was an episode of NCIS Los Angeles. Yeah.
So, how do you feel that that has changed the dynamic of, oh, I don't know, your chances of getting hired? I know that it's the same for everybody, but it's got to be harder to know that no, you don't get to make that impression on a personal level.
No, you don't. But once I kind of, and I hate to use the M word, but once I kind of mastered the art of the self tape, then once I kind of got it, it's okay. It's not as much fun as driving across town, sitting in the waiting room with all of the guys that I've known for 10, 20, 30 years, and going in and wowing the casting director with a solid read. Uh, I miss that whole thing. But the flip side is I get to sit home and work on it and work on it. There, of course, there's a deadline, but I get to do it as many times as I need until I'm satisfied. And I've learned not to put too much mustard on the hot dog. You know what I mean? To use a Chick Hearn-ism, uh, I've learned to do less, and ultimately, in the craft of screen acting, that is more.
I heard, I can't remember who it was, but it was a famous character actor who was in the movie. What's that movie where you can't handle the truth? What's that movie?
A Few Good Men,
Yeah,
Jack
that.
Nicholson.
So Kevin Pollak, who was in that movie, tells a story about one of the actors, character actor. I cannot remember his name. He was in that movie, and he told Kevin Pollak, he said, "There's a few secrets to acting. One of them is less is more, and sometimes nothing is best." So, like, if you can steal the scene without doing or saying anything, then you win.
It sounds crazy, but I've had to unlearn a lot of the things that I started out doing. And I found that if you trust uh, the process, trust listening, uh, it's just a much more effective, especially when you're talking about the lens, it's right there. And the camera's right there in your face. And to do too much just is not good. Less is more ultimately in the craft of film acting. No doubt about it.
Film acting, yeah. So that's different from, like, on the stage, you really got to project and kind of go overboard with the makeup, with the voice, with the acting. You got to really play it up, ham it up, so to speak, when you're on stage.
I wouldn't say that. What happens internally to the actor is the same. I mean, you research the character the same, you study the character the same, but the physical manifestation is different because you have to reach the back row. They have to know what you're doing. So, and a lot of that comes through the voice, comes through your movement, and that's how you communicate to the audience, in the rear of the theater. You don't have that with film acting. Tell you a story. Last November, I auditioned for a play for the first time in 8 years.
I was going to say, when's the last time you did a play?
I did one in April. I did King Hedley, August Wilson's King Hedley II at a Noise Within theater here in Pasadena, which, and like I said, I hadn't done one in a long time, but I've been wanting to get back on the stage, because that's where the rubber meets the road for an actor. And when I saw that this production was coming up, I started studying the script, and I auditioned, and I found I was really rusty. The director told me, he says, use the whole room. Like, you want me to move? You know what I mean?
What does that mean?
Because again, on film, you're flat-footed, and you just talk to the other guy. There's not a lot of walking around, and to do that, I found that I was really, really rusty, and consequently, my audition was terrible, and I wasn't cast. Then a couple of months later, I'd say I auditioned in November. The show was cast in late November. So everybody got their everybody that was cast by December, right? So December, they knew they were cast, but rehearsals didn't begin until February. And I got a call in in March asking would I be interested in understudying one of the characters. So I said, okay, cool. Didn't think I'd actually have to do it. And as luck would have it, this is August Wilson, so you have these huge monologues, man. And as luck would have it, the guy that I was understudying had to attend a memorial service. And so I had to go on with basically one rehearsal and 2 weeks prep time. Wasn't my finest hour, but I got through it. I mean, I knew most of it, but some of it, with all due respect to August Wilson, were my words and not his. Yeah, but they have the piano lesson coming up at a Noise Within theater company in the fall, and I would really like to do that. I would really like to.
Are you going to audition? Do you want me to put?
I am going to audition. Yeah, it's the same director. So I think politically, between you and me and all of your viewers, between you and me, I think politically it's kind of owed to me, but you know, nobody at the end of the day owes me anything.
That is hilarious.
Yeah.
When you were telling that story, the timbre of your voice and the way you're like your just the mannerisms that you were saying, it reminded me of that story. And again, everybody go back and check out the first time Tony was on. When you told that story about James Earl Jones and the Black Booties. That is
yes.
hilarious. I'm not going to spoil it now, so everybody go check that out. But it just reminded me when you were telling that story for whatever reason. I think it was the quality of your voice just reminded me of that story, which I was listening to that episode again the other day, just to make sure we didn't overlap things. And I could not stop laughing. That is a hilarious story. Okay. So how was the experience? I mean, I know you said it wasn't your finest hour, but it didn't turn you off of doing, plays again. So.
No, not at all. Not at all. The last show I did was a one-man show called The Devil and Billy Markham, in which, went for an hour. It's comprised of 5, 10-minute monologues. It took me a year to learn them. So I know I'm capable of doing the work. That wasn't the issue. It's just that I felt like I wasn't given sufficient time. You know what I mean? So I would really like to be in the principal cast. I would really like to have all the rehearsals that I need to feel prepared to get on stage. But no, man, I love the professional theater. I love the theater company was fantastic. The cast and crew were amazing. And I look forward to being able to do it again in the very near future.
Well, I'll reach out, see what I can do.
Yeah. It's really kind of refueled my fire. And I'll tell you something else I've been doing, Steve, is I've been screenwriting.
Oh, get out of here.
Yes, I'm a very prolific screenwriter. Most people don't notice about me, but I've written a number of screenplays. I've managed to produce 2 of them.
How many of them am I in? None of them? So far, none.
So far. But I do have a role for a podcaster coming up.
Oh, cool. As long as it's audio,
you're the man.
Nobody wants to see this mess.
Oh, yes, they do. They absolutely do. You're a good-looking guy, and you have great taste in clothing, man.
Oh shit, son!
I'm still gonna try that ensemble I saw you on and I complimented you on Instagram.
Hell yeah,
that was good looking. I'm gonna try that.
I look sick in that shot. That's one of my favorite pictures that's ever been taken of me.
I've been wanting to write a Christmas movie. I've been really disappointed with what I've been seeing coming from my community. Largely, it's been.
Do you mean the actor community or the Black community?
By most of what I've seen coming from Black filmmakers.
But did you see the one that just came out? Eddie Murphy's one that came out last Christmas called Candy Cane Lane?
I did not.
That's a pretty good one. You might want to check that out.
Okay.
I really, really enjoyed it. It's Tracy Ellis Ross and Eddie Murphy and
I'm familiar with it.
oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm familiar. I just,
David Allen Greer was in it. He's hilarious.
yeah.
Anyway, check that out. I'm so sorry. Please continue.
No, they just seem to lack the magic of Christmas. I wanted something. I wanted to do something along the lines of "It's a Wonderful Life" or "Miracle on 34th Street," or even the Santa Claus for a more contemporary comparison. I
Literal
wanted,
magic.
yeah,
The stories with literal magic. Okay.
yes, not Home Alone was wonderful, but
Sure.
it wasn't. There was no magic in it. So I had a revelation. I can't get into too much detail about it because it's in the hands of a few power players at the moment. And it hit me like a ton of bricks while I'm flying to Detroit over the holidays. And so that has been in addition to doing King Hedley since, over the last couple of months, my screenplay, my Christmas movie, it's called Something for Santa, has largely been at the forefront of my thoughts.
Is it sitting with Imagine right now? And I got to talk to Ron. You want me to reach out to Ron Howard and say, "Hey, buddy,
I wish you could,
I
or I
wish I
wish you
could too.
would.
I wish I could."
I hesitate to say who it's with
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now.
Don't do that. Don't do
Yeah,
that.
that's not that's not a good
So
move.
so it's already written.
But it's already written. I've had 2 development meetings with a major director, and he has the most recent draft now, and I expect to hear from any day now and see if he wants to move forward with it.
If he doesn't, let me know and I'll reach out to Paul Feig. He did a Christmas movie a couple of years ago, which was fucking phenomenal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was called Last Christmas, and it was based on a
Last
screenplay
Christmas.
yeah, it's called Last Christmas, and it was based on a story written by oh man, I can't remember her name. Famous British actress who ended up in the movie as well, but it's it's centers around the music of George Michael. So it's called Last Christmas.
Oh,
It's
okay.
really good.
Yeah,
It's good.
I knew that title sounded familiar to me for some reason. It's
Yeah,
because of the George Michael song.
yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
And it stars the lady dragon person from the Game of Thrones thing I didn't watch. Whatever that little girl's name is, I don't know. But
The
anyway,
Khaleesi,
yeah, her.
the one who,
Yeah, she's
yes,
the
yes.
star of it. And
Okay.
and it was really sweet, and there is a bit of magic in that, so you might want to check that out just for your own personal enjoyment. But yeah, Paul Feig, he's been on 3 times. I'm trying to get him on for a 4th one because he just wrapped up part 2 of one of my favorite movies that's ever been. So I'm trying to get him on. But yeah, I'll just if your director says no, holler at a fat kid and see if I can
Well,
connect you.
you know what, Steve? I'm not opposed to directing myself. It's
I'll reach
not
out to you.
anything.
Let me know if your director bails, and then I'll reach out to you and see if you want to do it. If
Okay.
you want to direct it, okay?
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling that I want to protect. Years ago, the director of Sneakers, Phil Alden Robinson, he told me the reason he became a director, because he started as a screenwriter. He was also, Field of Dreams. He said the reason he became a director was to protect his words, and I get that totally. So I don't want anybody messing around with my story.
Sure.
So if I get to tell, if I can persuade, I'm confident I can do it. Just through osmosis, I know the structure of filmmaking. I don't know a lot about lenses and lighting and
Well, that's what the
thing, but
DP's
that's
for,
not
and the
really what I do.
cinematographer,
Exactly.
right? Yeah, that's why they're there.
And I directed a buddy of mine's. It's the first time I've ever directed a buddy of mine's an episode of his web series called well, it just recently went through a name change. He's calling it Black Famous now. And I directed an episode of that, which was a lot of fun.
What was it called before?
It's called 2 Degrees.
Okay.
2 Degrees. And it's basically about how he has been a working actor for 30 some odd years, 35 years. And He's connected to all these people. He knows all of these famous people, but people don't recognize him. And that's like the bane of his existence.
Yeah, me too. That's
And
how I feel. It's only been 7 years. I know all these people, but nobody knows me.
well, I know you, Stephen.
That's all that matters.
True that. True that.
Well, good luck on the film, dude. I can't wait. I love Christmas movies, and I love Christmas movies that are, different. Like you were saying, they've kind of turned into all the same kind of a thing that it at the end of the day it just becomes uninteresting to me because it's
Just
just
like
the
the ones
same
on
type of.
the Hallmark Channel, it's always about the successful small town girl or guy goes off to New York or Los Angeles, Chicago, wherever, and becomes this huge success. Then for reasons that vary from movie to movie, end up going back home and running into their high school sweetheart.
Mm-hmm. Who just
And
happens to be
who,
going through a divorce.
yeah,
Yeah.
and wearing a plaid shirt.
Always, always a plaid shirt. It's like it's paid for by the plaid industry.
So, it's not just the African American community. It's certainly,
Definitely.
the others that are making the same films over and over again. And I just wanted to do something very different.
Well, I love it. I love the idea of it. Obviously, you can't share too much, but just that it would be a throwback to the actual bringing the magic back into Christmas, I think would be awesome. There's
Yeah,
not there's not a lot of magic going on right now in these days, so more
true.
magic would be amazing. Um, well, I'm glad that doing these I guess work from home audition things. I'm glad that you're getting a handle on it because it's a whole different muscle to flex.
Hmm.
And you know, when you're when you're a person that is of my age, and then now you got to learn all this new technology, that shit is whack.
Tell me about it. Yeah.
Well, once you
I
get to be my
credit
age, we can talk about that.
I credit a friend of mine. I met her when I was on a show called Queen Sugar, down in New Orleans, and she happened to move to Los Angeles, and that had been, de rigueur in the South for the prior to COVID. Everybody was doing self tapes, so she was very, very proficient in creating self tapes. So when she moved to Los Angeles, our friendship, has kind of blossomed, and she's the one that really taught me the ins and outs of how to do it.
Oh, love it.
And yeah, yeah. So,
Do you want to
in
shout
fact,
her out or no?
her name is Ninja DeVoe.
Ninja DeVoe.
Ninja DeVoe.
That
Yes,
is a killer name. I love that.
she
I'm glad I
and
asked.
she's a
That's a cool
killer
name.
too.
That is awesome.
No, she's a wonderful lady. She's become one of my best friends in the world.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Tony,
Yes, sir.
we're going to talk about the meat. We're going to talk about the good stuff. We're going to talk about why you are here.
Okay.
You have a film coming out. It is scheduled for release by Searchlight Pictures on Hulu in the United States on August 23rd, 2024. Is all that still correct?
24. Yes.
It is called The Supremes at Earl's All You Can Eat. Now, I did a little digging.
Uh-huh.
It's not the Supremes that I thought it was, and that's okay.
No, it isn't.
But you are the Earl that I thought you were.
I am.
So tell me if you can, basically, what is this film about? I mean, don't give it away, obviously, but what's the crux? What's the pilot, the synopsis, if you will, of the Supremes at Earl's All You Can Eat?
It's about the friendships that are shared by the three principal characters, Barbara Jean, Clarice, and Odette, played by Sanaa Lathan, Aunjanue Ellis, and Uzo Aduba, my friend from National Champions. And
Everybody might remember Uzo Aduba from Orange is the New Black, but also she did they brought back this TV show called, I think it was called Treatment or In Treatment, and she was
yes, on HBO.
yeah, and
Yeah.
she took over the title role of that film as well. I'm sorry, please continue.
She's a magnificent actress and a
She's
wonderful human being.
amazing. And I think I said last time, there's only been two people who have won an Emmy for um a comedy and a drama,
Hmm.
and she's the other one. The first one was Bill Cosby, and Uzo is the second one.
She's won three,
I know, but
three,
there's
which is
drama and then
amazing.
there's
Yeah,
comedy. So yeah,
yeah.
she's so sick. Okay, so please continue. I'm so sorry. I keep interrupting
Yeah,
you.
and it's basic. They meet as teenagers, and it's about the travails, the triumphs, and the defeats of their friendship over the next 40 years.
Four?
And
Did you say 4 years or 40?
40,
40
4,
years. Okay.
0, yes.
Okay, wow.
Uh, uh, yes. I don't. I hesitate to say much more than that. But
Yeah, don't.
what happens is the story begins in 1968 when they walk into my restaurant,
Oh,
and they look so pretty, and it's three of them, and this is at the height of Diana Ross and the Supremes fame and glory. And when they walk into my restaurant, I immediately dubbed them the
oh,
Supremes.
you named them the
I
Supremes.
named
Check
them,
you
and they
out.
got a brother from Detroit, a brother from the Motown, from the D, to play that character, which I kind of dig.
I love it. I don't know if you
Yeah,
know
yeah.
this. Um, so Diana Ross, right, from the Supremes,
Hmm.
she did a song. I don't know if it was when she was a solo in her solo career or if it was during the Supremes. I don't remember, but she did a song called "Does Your Mother Know About Me?" or "Does Your Mama Know About Me?" It was a Motown song. It was a hit
Hmm.
for her. Um, you're gonna freak out when I tell you who wrote that song. Sit down. Just sit. Stay seated. Stay seated,
Okay.
ladies and gentlemen. Tommy Chong of Cheech and Chong fame. Before he even met Cheech, he was signed with Motown Records with a band called Bobby Taylor and the Vancouvers.
Yes.
And
I've
he
heard of
was
Bobby
he
Taylor in the
was he
Vancouvers.
was the guitar player. Yeah, he was the guitar player for Bobby Taylor and the Vancouvers, and he wrote that song, and they put that song out, and then through Motown, and then Diana redid that song, which
Hmm.
that always just blows me away. It's such a pretty song, and I'm just like, really? That high as hell, dude. Like, he was a previous sketch of the show, that's why I know that. Um, but I was just like, that is nuts. And so every time I hear Diana Ross or the Supremes, I just think of that story because it's so unlikely. It's so weird.
Now,
But
since you're on the subject of, I'm a Motown aficionado, and since you're on the subject of
Taylor,
sorry, Bobby Taylor and the Vancouvers, Bobby Taylor was actually the person who discovered the Jackson Five and
it's
took
so
them to
funny
Motown.
because Tommy Lee, no, um, oh my gosh, Tommy Chong, Jesus,
Tommy Chong.
sorry, um, sorry, Tommy Lee Jones just walked past my window and it threw me for a loop. So, Tommy Chong, he tells the story, and Cheech also tells the story that it was Tommy who discovered and took the Jackson Five to Barry Gordy, not Bobby Taylor.
Is that right?
But Bobby's not around, so you can say whatever you want, right? But that's how Tommy
Yeah.
tells the story. Is that it was him.
Oh, wow. Wow.
He also
Okay.
tells a crazy story about they were playing at a club, and uh Jimi Hendrix walked in, and Hendrix wanted to play with the band, and so Tommy just handed him his guitar and went and sat down. How cool is that?
That's very cool. Hope he didn't set it on fire.
Yeah, no kidding. That'd be
Yeah.
hilarious. Okay, so this film, The Supremes at Earl's All You Can Eat, is based on a 2013 novel of the same
Hmm.
name by Edward Kelsey Moore. Was Edward Kelsey Moore involved in the film, as far as you know?
Uh, well, the screenplay was adapted by the writer, by the director, Tina Mabry
Hmm.
and Gina Prince Bythewood, to my knowledge. So I do not believe he was involved with the screenplay. However, he did visit the set while I was there.
Oh, cool.
So did get a chance to meet him, and so how involved he was in the production, I'm not, educated about that, so I can't speak about it. but apparently he was a friend of the production because he was there for a time. And again, it's, the Supremes at Earl's is his baby.
So him being there tells me that that was him sort of blessing the production. Like he was okay. They didn't change his story so much that it pissed him off, right?
No, no. In fact, he had this kind of look of awe because I'm sure you've written things, and to see your brainchild come to life like that has just got to be awe-inspiring. To sit in the dark of your home office and write this novel that he probably slaved over for a couple of years before it was published, if not more. And to see actors playing the roles, giving life to your words, to your story is I've had it on a much smaller scale. So it's so powerful and so rewarding to see that happen, man. I can't imagine what he must have felt, especially and his book was a New York Times bestseller.
Oh,
Let's not forget that. Yeah, it was a New York Times bestseller.
Excuse me. So besides the three young ladies that you mentioned, this movie also stars Mekhi Phifer. What?
Yes.
And Julian McMahon, Vondi Curtis Hall, and Russell Hornsby. Holy moly. This is a heavy hitting cast.
Yes, yes. And I hope I'm not telling tales out of school here, but there's also each of these characters has a younger counterpart that plays them as teenagers. And man, when I tell you the younger cast brings the heat, brings the pain, it is no exaggeration. It will not disappoint.
The younger versions of these characters, are they people we have seen? Are they newcomers?
I think
one
has certainly made a name for herself. Tati Gabrielle. You've seen her in a number of motion pictures and Netflix series. And she is certainly on the come up. In fact, the other two young ladies, Abigail and Kiana, you may not know, you may, but I can't speak to their resumes, but they are wonderful. These girls are wonderful, and even the young men who play the guys you just listed as younger guys, the casting is just spot on, just absolutely spot on. Nobody disappoints. Everybody brings the pain.
Love it.
Yeah.
Mekhi Phifer and Russell Hornsby, those dudes for sure, they're not in enough stuff for my taste. They should be in all the things. They're amazing.
Well, Russell does have a TV series, BMF. I believe it's on Stars.
And he was on that other show. He was on Grimm, right? He was like the co-lead on Grimm.
Yes.
Yeah.
I actually worked with Russell once before on an episode of Lincoln Heights.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And Mekhi has become a personal friend over the last couple of years. We have a mutual friend, so I see him socially from time to time.
Oh, cool. He was on the last thing I saw him on, I think was Designated Survivor. I think that was the last time I saw him. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure that was the last time. Anyway, did they age you up and down? Did you get to be in the or are you not allowed to say? Are you in the future and the past, or
yes,
you can't say? Oh,
I don't have a younger counterpart, so I do age.
That's how I should have asked it. I should have said, "Do you have a younger counterpart?" That's what I should have said. Dang it!
No. The young man that plays my son, we see him as maybe a 15-year-old.
Are you the only person who doesn't get a younger counterpart?
Of the principal cast, yes.
That's fantastic.
I agree. I like that.
I love that. That is so cool. So, I mean, bro, your character's name is in the title of the film. So the chances are pretty good that your scenes made the cut.
Oh, I've seen the movie.
Oh, okay, good. Last time we talked about National Champions, you hadn't seen it yet. So you have seen this.
I have seen the movie.
What do you
I've
think
seen
about it?
It's the best film I've ever done. It's the kind of work I came to Hollywood to do. And I've been so lucky over the last couple of years because National Champions and The Supremes at Earl's All You Can Eat are really two of the best film. I mean, I've done 10 or 15 movies and I've had minor parts in most of them, but these are the first two that in which I'm a supporting lead and I have a character with an arc. And I don't know how it fell into my hands because I know a number of my actor friends who all read for it. And why
I think we know. I think we know.
I'm the prettiest of the bunch.
Well, I was gonna say talent, but sure, you're pretty too, man.
No, I don't know why. I don't look a gift horse in the mouth. I never asked.
There's horses in this movie.
No horses.
So
I never asked Tina why.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Sure.
Just something you don't do. I'm here.
Oh my God, you picked me. Why?
Exactly.
That's what I say to my wife every time we have an anniversary.
There's no imposter syndrome going on with me, man. I've really earned my place in this industry, in this town.
I'm glad you know that.
Yeah. So I'm real comfortable in my skin, my first film was with one of my first films was with these guys. Robert Redford, Sidney Poitier, so from there, it's all downhill from there, man. I worked with freaking Sidney Poitier, Robert Redford, Dan Aykroyd, River Phoenix. So
James Earl Jones,
Mary McDonnell. So like I said, man, it's been all downhill from there. And I just always when I'm on set, I feel like this is where I belong. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is, well, for better or worse, it's my calling,
I love it. You earned that spot. You earned where you are, and I love that
no
you
doubt.
know that.
Yeah.
Without even a hint of posting at all. You're just like, I mean, that's what it is.
No, nothing to boast about. It's just, I heard gosh, what is his name?
Steve
The guy that starred in The Whale.
Oh,
won the Oscar.
Brendan Fraser.
Brendan Fraser, yeah, Brendan Fraser. I saw him in a video recently, and someone was asking him about advice he would give to young actors, and he was at a film festival, and he said, "Yeah, it's nice being at a film festival where everybody is nice and they get to enjoy the work." He said, "But there's a lot of shoe leather that got me here." And that is so true, man. I've worn out a lot of shoes. They're right over there in the closet, to get, not that I'm in any lofty place, but to wherever I am, however you measure this, I've earned my place. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I got it. Well deserved. I mean, you're there for a reason.
Sir. Yeah.
I have some advice for Brendan Fraser's The Mummy ride at Universal Studios. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are going to get on that ride, and it is a blast, I highly suggest it. There is a regular line, and then there is a single passenger line. You go into the single passenger line, it moves 3 times as fast, and the chances are you're going to be sitting next to whoever's, like, take your friend in that line, you'll probably be sitting together anyway. And if not, you're going to come right out together when it's all over.
Wow.
So do that. Go to the single rider line, because what they do is they'll have, oh, okay, so there's 3 of you, cool, and then they'll just grab 1 person from that single rider line. Or there's like, oh, there's 2 of you, cool, they'll grab 2 people from the single rider line, and then they fill it up and go on. Single rider line goes real fast at Universal Studios in Florida. Anyway,
sage advice. Hey, I don't know if they have that here in Hollywood at Universal Studios, Hollywood here.
I'm guessing,
but that's my old workplace, man.
Yeah, tell me about when you worked at Universal Studios Hollywood.
We didn't talk about that the last time?
I don't think so, because I was so excited about Hunter and some of the other things that we just really, really spent a lot of time on that. Tell me about Universal Studios.
I was living in San Diego. Well, I had taken the Universal Studios tour between my junior and senior year in high school, my first trip to LA. And I just was fascinated. I was blown away by this whole experience. And somehow I fixated on the guy at the front of the tram giving the tour. I said, that's a job for an actor, you know what I mean? And so, long story short, after 4 years of college in San Diego and doing local theater down there, I was so broke, I didn't even have a car. I would catch Greyhound buses to Los Angeles. You know, this is well before the internet or anything like that. I would catch Greyhound buses up to Los Angeles, 2-hour drive. I would stay at the Hollywood Y, and I would catch the city bus out to Universal Studios in North Hollywood or the Valley, and I'd get physical applications. I'd take them back to San Diego with me. I felt for some reason I felt that the job was highly competitive. And I sent in an application a month for like 6 months, and they called me for an interview. And my girlfriend drove me up, and it was a group interview, like a classroom with 30 or 40 people in it, and each person had to go up to the front of the room and talk about their favorite movie and their least favorite movie for 5 minutes. Now, while I had been accustomed to doing theater, I was not accustomed to speaking
Speeches.
extemporaneously. Yeah, which is
Sure.
a very different animal. So anyway, I got up there and I just totally blew it. I was terrible. So I got back to San Diego and I got to thinking about it. I said, ask for another shot.
Well, hold on. Before we
Uh-huh.
get that far, what were their two movies? What was your favorite and your least favorite?
My favorite movie was Singing in the Rain with Gene Kelly. And my least favorite movie, I think I spoke about. I call even though I had never seen it, I talked about Debbie Does Dallas.
Listeners who aren't familiar with that title, Debbie Does Dallas is a documentary about a cheerleader at the trying out for the Dallas Cowboys cheerleading squad in the 70s, I think. Oh, go ahead.
Is that what it's about? Like I said, I had never seen that. I just had to come up with my least favorite movie.
From
But
what I
anyway,
understand, that is the storyline, but there's no clothes involved in that movie.
no, it is. It
That
was
is
a
hilarious.
legendary adult film, and I
That
was a
is
kid at I was 20 at the
I
time.
can't believe you didn't get the job.
No, exactly. So anyway, I go back to
I'm
San
so
Diego.
glad I asked that question.
I don't know where that puts me now, but yeah. So I go back to San Diego and I say, ask for another shot. So I called the guy up on the phone who, arranged for my interview, and I asked him if I could come back. He said, yes.
He said, yeah, you were hilarious. Come on back.
Yeah. So what I did was I wrote down my favorite movie and why, and my least favorite movie. I can't even remember what my least favorite movie was. But I wrote a 5-minute speech and I memorized it from beginning to end. And I went in there and I wasn't fighting for words. I knew everything I was going to say. I spoke effectively and got the job. And when I started there, they were shooting Back to the Future. You had to do a week of training. And that was my first job in Los Angeles. That's how I got here, man. I came here with $35.
When you say they were shooting it, did they shoot it at Universal Studios?
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, they shot a few things, like I saw recently online that the house that the McFlys lived in was in Van Nuys somewhere. But Hill Valley, that downtown area, the restaurant where the mayor, the future mayor worked, that was all on the Universal back lot in what's called Courthouse Square.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was my first job in Hollywood, man. I worked there for 2 years and it was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful. In fact, a lot of those guys that I worked with are still good friends to this day.
Let me ask you this. This is a
Mhm.
weird question. Did you meet anybody working there that helped further your career in as an actual actor?
Yes. Um, where do I begin?
Oh
Tony
wow.
Sepulveda, who is, well, last time I checked, I could be mistaken about his title, but he's the vice president now of casting at Warner Brothers.
Get right on
Uh,
out of town.
well, I mean, he doesn't give me a job by any stretch of the
Of course
imagination.
not.
But no, he called me in for a pilot that starred John Stamos called uh, Favorite Son that wasn't picked up, and I was going to be a series regular on that.
But you did get that role, right? It just didn't get picked
I
up.
did get the role,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah. They should have just called it "Who Else Is Pretty." Yeah, that's what they should have called it.
Yeah, yeah. Stamos, good dude, man. Good dude. Uh, and then my friend Sandy Logan. Sandy Logan was cast. I don't think she was the casting director. I think she was an assistant at that time on Coach. Remember Coach with Craig T. Nelson? I got a guest star on Coach. And it was as a result of Sandy calling me in, but I had to come in and audition like any other actor.
Sure.
It's just maybe I had a little more access to that audition because of my relationship. And and then other people in other ways. Steve Hafer is a good buddy of mine, and Steve is he's a director on a lot of kid shows like the Disney Channel kind of thing, and he's had me come in for a few auditions. In fact, as a result of Steve having me read for Zoe 101, he didn't direct my episodes, but I end up getting to. But he introduced me to the casting directors, and I got 2 episodes of Zoe 101. So yeah,
That's awesome. So when you
absolutely.
walk into that room and you see somebody that you used to work with all those years ago, are you like, "Hey, I know you. Remember me? Remember we're friends. Hey," like, is it old
No,
home
no,
week,
no,
or
no,
you're just
no.
like right to business
Yeah, you keep your game face on, and you don't want to, because there are other people in the room.
and you
You
don't
know
want
what
to
I
give
mean?
the impression of impropriety? Sure.
Right, or that I'm there as a favor. And in fact, it becomes more of a responsibility to do well because your friend has stuck his neck out for you. You know what I mean? So you
Mhm.
want to come in there and wow the producer and the director and the writer or whoever else happens to be in the room, uh, and earn the job on your own merit. You only got it. They only got you in the room. They didn't give you the job. You know
Right.
what I mean?
That
So
makes sense.
yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you for all of that. That was fun. Um, Again, ladies and gentlemen, streaming on Hulu, released by Searchlight Pictures all across the United States, August 23rd, 2024. I know where I'm going to be, and it is in my bed with my wife on date night, right in front of the TV, watching The Supremes at Earl's All You Can Eat. I am so excited to see this film. Every time I see you in anything, even if it's just this, you're so charming. You're a gosh darn delight, Tony.
Well, God bless you, man. I
So
appreciate that.
I'm very excited to see this film, and like I mentioned, I mean, half the cast I'm unfamiliar with, but the half of the cast that I am familiar with, it gets me more excited. And I love seeing, up and comers, and you're giving your stamp of approval on these people. So I'm super excited.
You're going to be blown away. If I had to liken this film to anything else, I would place it on par with, to me, it feels like Waiting to Exhale meets The Color Purple.
Which
It's that
the color purple, the original one?
the original. Yeah, there's shades of that. Not a lot, but there are shades of it for
Shades of
some reason.
purple.
Yeah. You are quick, man.
It was laying right there. I had to pick it up.
Yeah. High Hard went right over the plate.
There you go. Again, ladies and gentlemen, seriously, don't miss this film. I can't wait to see it. The Supremes at Earl's All You Can Eat. It stars Aunjanue Ellis-Taylor, Sanaa Lathan, Uzo Aduba, Mekhi Phifer, Julia McMahon, Vonnie Curtis Hall, Russell Hornsby, and as Earl, the Great, pretty Tony Winters. Again, it's directed by Tina Mabry and written by Tina Mabry and C. Marcellus. Is that right?
Yes.
All right, cool. Based on the 2013 novel with the same name by Edward Kelsey Moore. And we already found out a few minutes ago that Edward was there. So his stamp of approval is implicit. Oh my gosh. Pretty. So you got to say it twice because you're back 2 times. Pretty Tony.
You stop with that.
Thank you so much for taking the time again out of your busy day on your hectic, I don't know, auditioning for everything from your quaint little house schedule to hang out and let us get to know you even more on Fascination Street, man. I really appreciate it.
Hey, I appreciate you, Steve, and I appreciate you doing your homework and
Holler.
having interesting questions to ask and
No.
giving me this platform.
Fascinating questions.
Fascinating questions. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. Yeah, fascinating questions to ask, and you're intellectually curious, and you got a wonderful sense of humor, and it's always a pleasure to sit down and chop it up with you, man.
100% my pleasure. And dude, seriously, thank you, man. This was a blast. As always, I expected nothing less. You bring it every single time, which is one of the reasons that I love watching you on the screen, because you bring it there too.
My dude.
Dude, you have a great rest of your week, man, and I will holler at you later.
Au revoir.
Bye, buddy.